Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we have a pretty good show lined up. We're going to talk about a new opinion piece from Marik von Rennenkampff, a former Department of State analyst. We're going to talk about that. He talks about AARO and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and how they are very disingenuous and that they don't really know what they're talking about. Actually, they do know what they're talking about, and I think Marik knows that, but the way they talk about UFOs in public, you would think that they are completely in the dark. That's not the case, and Marik points that out brilliantly, I believe, in his new opinion piece. And I also going to talk about some new anomalies, other anomalies within the Las Vegas alien video. There were some things I had sent to me recently, as well as some other things that have been pointed out to me by some of my subscribers. Anyway, I'm going to start off, though. I want to talk about something that I should have talked about in the previous episode, and that's with regard to OPNAC, which is the acronym that appears in the leaked Majestic-12 Special Operations Manual that was leaked in the early 1990s to UFO researcher Don Berliner. I was talking about this recently because UFO commentator Jon Stewart on his YouTube channel recently revealed, and I think he's correct, through the help of one of his subscribers, that the abbreviation BBS in that document, in that leaked document, stands for Bermuda Biological Station, and I think that that's correct. But the one thing that we really don't know is what does OPNAC stand for. Now, Jon Stewart thinks it could stand for Operational Naval Command. We really don't know. In the previous episode, I should have mentioned this one comment that I had received from one of my subscribers on YouTube, from Fred Obermeyer. And he went to ChatGPT to find out what OPNAC stands for. And this is what he wrote to me recently. He says, I went on ChatGPT and asked what OPNAC stands for and was given this. OPNAC stands for Operational Navigation Accountability Command. It is a term used in various military and organizational contexts to denote a command structure or unit responsible for overseeing and ensuring the accountability of navigational operations. When I asked it for more information, it made me think this may indeed be right. So this might be what it stands for, Operational Navigation Accountability Command. But this is what ChatGPT stated. Unfortunately, detailed information on OPNAC is restricted and not easily accessible online due to security protocols. The information available often leads to restricted Navy directives or documents that require specific access permissions. For more comprehensive information, you might need to contact a Navy representative or access military databases and resources directly, which typically require proper authorization. So is that what OPNAC stands for? Operational Navigation Accountability Command? Is that in that document? OPNAC, the OPNAC teams are who. That's who is responsible, according to that Special Operations Manual, for basically covering up everything related to UFO crashes and handling the materials that are recovered there, including the alien bodies. So it could be. That's what ChatGPT is saying. Operational Navigation Accountability Command. We just don't know. We just don't know. It could be, but I don't know. It sounds good. Operational Navigation Accountability Command. Now, I should have read this comment in the previous show, and unfortunately I didn't, because obviously I had a brain fart of for some reason. I don't know. That happens. It happens. But I want to say thank you, Fred, for doing that. That could be what it means. I don't know. Time will tell. Maybe. I do think, like I've talked about before, I think that Special Operations Manual, I think it's real. Like I've talked about that before, and I just don't see how that could have been. I could have been hoaxed. I just don't. I guess there's that small chance, like I stated when I talked about this previously. But it would have taken a lot of time, effort, and money to make something like that, to hoax something like that. It just seems absurd that somebody would waste all that time to do something like that. And it does seem to me, when other researchers, including people like Ryan Wood and his father Robert Wood, who have investigated this. I mean, they came to the conclusion that the document was real based on numerous reasons, and those reasons you could find it on a website. I'll include that link for anyone who's interested. You can read all about the Special Operations Manual, and maybe this is what it means. Maybe OPNAC means Operational Navigation Accountability Command. Okay, now moving on, I want to talk about this article, this opinion piece that appeared in The Hill from Marik von Rennenkampff, who served as an analyst with the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of International Security and Proliferation, and he was also an Obama administration appointee at the United States Department of Defense, and of course, he's someone who, in recent years, he's been someone who's been an advocate for UFO disclosure. He writes about it all the time. He's someone who gets in arguments with people like Mick West on Twitter. This guy is pushing for disclosure, and his efforts are very much appreciated in the UFO community. I could say that. A very smart guy. But anyway, I want to go through this article that he just wrote that appeared in The Hill just today, and I'll leave the link for this as well. But he talks about how he starts off talking about how Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and also Senator Mike Rounds, a Democrat and Republican, respectively, they just recently reintroduced the most extraordinary legislation in American history. The Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act alleges that shadowy elements of the United States government have surreptitiously operated legacy programs that retrieve and seek to reverse engineer UFOs of unknown or non-human origin. Now, like I've talked about this, I'm going to stop there for a second. I've talked about this a number of times before, that there's no way that people like this, like Schumer and Rounds, among other people, these are just some of the people in the Senate that are pushing for this. As we know, there's a lot of people in the House, a bipartisan group in the House led by Representative Tim Burchett, who are basically trying to do the same thing. They've been pushing for disclosure. They keep running into brick walls. The government, the Pentagon keeps, pushing them away. Not delivering the goods. But they're trying. And this legislation, which by the way should have appeared in the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, but of course because of the some of the puppets in the House who received lots of big-time campaign contributions from a lot of the defense contractors, they blocked it. They prevented this from going through. And hopefully now, this will be something that will be voted on before 2025, by the end of this year, and hopefully the next NDAA includes this bill that was basically gutted last time. Hopefully this time it's not gutted, and it's nice to see that there is this bipartisan group that understands that there's something to this whole thing, and that there is a cover-up, that there is crash retrievals and reverse engineering programs ongoing. Obviously, that's what they believe, or they wouldn't be doing this. They would not be doing this. Anyway, continuing with the opinion piece, he says, as a remedy, the Disclosure Act would establish a blue ribbon review board to gradually and strategically release long-withheld UFO-related records publicly via a controlled disclosure campaign. Schumer and Rounds' reintroduction of the legislation is particularly notable because it was largely gutted at the request of the Pentagon's UFO office by House lawmakers last December. The All-domain Anomaly Resolution Office, established in 2022, also issued repeated categorical denials of the stunning UFO-related activities alleged in the Disclosure Act. In a lengthy air-laden report released in March, for example, the office stated that it found no empirical evidence that the United States government and private companies have been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. The reintroduction of the Disclosure Act in full is thus a stunning double rebuke of AARO. Notably, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who led the charge to establish the office, is a co-sponsor of the legislation. Moreover, the Senate Intelligence Committee appears set to require the Government Accountability Office, Congress's investigative watchdog, to conduct a review of AARO. In other words, key members of Congress, including the senator who established it, appear to have little confidence in the Pentagon's UFO office. Let me just stop there. Yeah, why should they have any confidence after that completely absolute bogus report that they had, foisted onto the American public back in March. That was absolutely absurd, as I've talked about a number of times on this show. It was just completely ridiculous, and it didn't. They provided no proof at all whatsoever to back up any of the statements that they provided. But as this piece will inform you, it's actually worse than that. Actually recently, Rennenkampff did an interview with Sean Kirkpatrick, who's the former director of AARO, and of course I think he's part of the cover-up, obviously based on some of the statements that he's made, and obviously some of the comments that Kirkpatrick had given to Rennenkampff was. It was all not. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. They're not even trying. AARO under Kirkpatrick was not even trying to get to the truth. They weren't even trying, and this proves it. This absolutely proves it. They're completely. He's disingenuous as well as that entire office, which is, by the way, controlled by the Pentagon, which makes no sense to me. Anyway, continuing, he says, in other words, key members of Congress appear to have little confidence in the Pentagon's UFO office. This should come as no surprise. AARO's landmark, congressionally mandated historical review of government involvement with UFOs contains a multitude of errors and omissions, astoundingly poor analytic tradecraft, and, in at least one instance, an egregious falsehood. Yep, loaded with nonsense, and it was completely unacceptable. Anyway, at the same time, as I learned recently in a lengthy discussion with AARO's former director, the Pentagon appears clueless about the most recognizable, widely publicized UFO footage. This is particularly remarkable since the videos spurred significant congressional interest, leading ultimately to the establishment of the office. For example, Sean Kirkpatrick, who retired as AARO's director in December, told me that the well-known gimbal video, which a stunned Navy aircrew recorded hundreds of miles off the Florida coast in early 2015, was likely a balloon drifting in the wind. According to Kirkpatrick, the object's highly anomalous infrared signature was due to a reflection from the sun. Okay, I'm just going to play that video quick so to give you a reminder of what the gimbal video is.
Dude, there's a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing! It's rotating.
Okay, continuing, but the government's former top UFO analyst is demonstrably wrong about the most recognizable UFO footage of all time. The gimbal incident, as the naval aviator who recorded the video confirmed in a congressional briefing, occurred at night, eliminating sun glare as a possible source of the UFO's bizarre heat signature. Moreover, the aircrew are heard remarking in surprise that the gimbal object, along with a fleet of accompanying UFOs, are all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. So yeah, it was totally ridiculous what Kirkpatrick was saying there with regard to that. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's just making stuff up on the fly. I mean, how could this guy have been the director of AARO? Obviously, this is complete. He's a completely disingenuous person. They didn't really investigate this stuff. The whole goal of AARO could be under the tutelage, under the control of the Pentagon, was to basically just pretend that there's nothing to any of this and just tell them anything just to get them away, to shut them up. That's all it is. That's all it was. Anyway, balloons, of course, do not move against Category 4 hurricane winds, nor have sophisticated three-dimensional recreations of the incident found a convincing balloon trajectory for the gimbal UFO. Notably, this is the second time that Kirkpatrick suggested these false explanations for the gimbal video to me, with the first occurring following a public event in November. Interestingly, in a March interview, Kirkpatrick stated that the gimbal object was probably a jet. Not only does this fly in the face of publicly available empirical evidence, it has been roundly disputed by fighter pilots intimately familiar with the sensor system that recorded the video. At the same time, this is funny. That's even Kirkpatrick's explanation to Rennenkampff about this was even caused Mick West, the biggest UFO debunker of our age, to blush. At the same time, Mick West, a prominent UFO skeptic, characterized Kirkpatrick's explanation for the gimbal's object's anomalous stepped rotation as nonsense and obviously wrong. Yeah, Mick West has another bogus explanation for it, but Kirkpatrick's explanation is obviously ridiculously wrong, and West has, he even agrees with that. As Christopher Melanie, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, aptly noted, Kirkpatrick's lack of basic knowledge about the most recognizable publicly available UFO footage raises an array of questions about the quality and rigor of AARO's analysis. This is especially the case following its absurd explanation for a highly anomalous UFO incident that Air Force personnel felt obligated to report to Representative Matt Gaetz's Florida office. Go fast. Another UFO video that spurred significant congressional interest ultimately led to the creation of AARO was filmed just 10 minutes prior to Gimbal by the same Navy aircrew. I was going to play that video quickly here, the Go Fast video.
Echo 6-1 Tango, Roger, over. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? 602.
No, I took an auto track.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Wow, look at it fly!
Anyway, back to this and continuing. In March, Kirkpatrick endorsed a deeply flawed NASA analysis of the Go Fast video. But after I pointed out a critical error in NASA's calculations to him, Kirkpatrick contradicted himself, telling me I haven't looked at NASA's analysis. A remarkable flip-flop, to say the least. Now, think about that. So, he said he thinks that, NASA had the Go Fast video correct, and that's what I agree with. But then when Rennenkampff tells him that the NASA has to be wrong. Oh, I didn't even look at the NASA stuff. So what kind of, how is this guy the director of AARO? How is he the director of AARO? And how does he has the audacity to go out and try to tell everyone else in the world now, as we know, he hasn't been doing it too much recently, but he was, in the few months after he left that office, he was on that disinformation tour where he was, basically telling everyone in the United States, there's some people in the Pentagon that's like a cult. Yeah, they're making all this stuff up, just to make it all go away, trying to poo-poo it, pretend like there's nothing to this, and do half-assed investigations. Actually, no investigation into a lot of these things. Like I've talked about before, they didn't even take another look at the Roswell stuff. They just based their opinion on Roswell on stuff that the Air Force had published in the 1990s. They didn't even look into it. And as I've talked about before, there's numerous military witnesses to the Roswell incident that the Air Force did not talk to back in the 1990s when they had two different reports on that they released on Roswell. And so you think that Kirkpatrick would have looked into those. And there's a lot of signed affidavits. There was a lot of deathbed confessions. None of that was even. They didn't even bother. They just said, yeah, it was balloons and dummies, just like the Air Force said. Anyway, continuing, he says, moreover, just as with Gimbal, Kirkpatrick seemed unaware that sophisticated geometrical recreations corroborate aircrew and radar operator accounts of the 2004 Tic Tac incident, widely considered the best documented contemporary UFO encounter. Any objective scientific analysis of the best-known multi-witness UFO incident should, at the very least, assess whether the available data confirms or contradicts high-confidence accounts by highly trained military witnesses. AARO clearly conducted no such analysis, preferring instead to force easily falsifiable and unscientific explanations upon credible, highly perplexing incidents. Yeah, isn't that amazing? But we all knew this, though, didn't we? I just love that we have some big names out there like Marik, some people who did work in the government before who are telling us this, and they have platforms like The Hill where they could express these opinions. Anyway, continuing, over 50 years ago, the late atmospheric physicist James McDonald warned his fellow scientists and members of Congress about the Pentagon's profoundly unscientific approach to UFOs. The Air Force's longtime scientific consultant on UFOs, astronomer J. Allen Hynek, agreed, emerging as a fierce proponent of rigorous, unbiased study of the phenomenon. And then he wraps it up this way. AARO's disingenuous analysis and false explanations for intriguing UFO incidents strongly suggest that history is repeating itself. Congress's apparent skepticism of the Pentagon's UFO office is well-founded. Yes, it is. Very well-founded. Gotta give thank you to Marik von Rennenkampff for keeping up with this and using his clout to get these opinion pieces in on platforms like The Hill, because the world needs to know that there is a cover-up and that this whole AARO office, and well as its former director Kirkpatrick, they've not done their job, obviously. Then they're lying to the public about this for whatever reason. The government doesn't want to come clean about what it knows about UFOs because there's just too many other things that will occur once they do it. I mean, you have to be concerned about why are they here. A lot of people are going to be wondering, why are they here? What are they doing here? What's their plans? I mean, where do they come from? There's all these questions. A lot of people who don't really follow this are going to have a lot of questions, and that's what they're afraid of. But you know what? I think people are living in they live in their own little worlds, and they're not really they're not gonna. It's not going to be a big deal for them. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I know people in my life who now know that there's something here, but it hasn't changed them. They just accept it and they move on. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It comes down to this. They're concerned about the reverse engineering aspects, and that's fine. That stuff does need to stay secret. I believe that they need to keep that secret. They need to figure out how these things work. I understand that, right? But they're keeping the whole thing a secret. By doing this, they shouldn't have to. That shouldn't be. That's not the way this should go. I mean, they should be at least telling the world the truth about the fact that we're not alone in this universe. That's the problem here with all of this, with this cover-up. I don't care. Yes, reverse engineering aspects. Yeah, that needs to be kept secret. I mean, we don't want our enemies to know about what we've learned, right? That needs to stay secret. It needs to stay top secret. No question about it. However, the rest of it needs to be told, and the truth needs to be told. I mean, there's creatures here, as I've told. There's evidence now that's been presented on this podcast as well as other podcasts over the last few months that shows it. There's no question about it. Of course, it's funny that even people like Rennenkampff and Christopher Mellon and a lot of these people who have connections with the government that are pushing for UFO disclosure, they seem like they don't like talking too much about the occupants, the pilots of these things. They just keep it pretty much to the cover up of the reverse engineering and crash retrieval programs. But here on this podcast, we like to talk about the whole shameel, the whole shebang, everything, right? And as we know, there's no question about it. There's something here, no doubt about it. In fact, I want to do a little update here on the Vegas alien stuff. There was something that I noticed this stuff. I try to keep. There was lots of shows I've done where I've talked about the creature that chased them out of the yard and the creature that appears above the fence, and now more recently I've been talking about this being that's no question about it, way in the background you could see in that video. I've been talking about that a lot recently. I did the AI the AI animated version of it, which the computer recognized that there was something there. There's no doubt about it. Nobody wants to talk about that. That's to some people, not only the people in the running the show, like the Majestic-12 group or the Secret Control group. It's like not only to them, but also to some members of the UFO community. Obviously, this is subversive. They don't want the world to know about this, so that's why this kind of evidence is not talked about a lot with some of these bigger names in the UFO community. However, there's no escaping the reality. We have evidence now that shows that we're not alone. There's no question about it. I mean, the gimbal video, the go fast, that's fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, the gimbal video, that's a flying saucer. That's what it is, right? And as the Vegas video shows, this is what some of the pilots look like. What we're seeing in that video, that's what some of the pilots look like. That they don't want to talk about that too much. A lot of people, like Jeremy Corbell, for instance, that could be harmful to the discussion. This kind of stuff. So we got to keep. Let's not go there. The world's not ready for that part yet. Let's just focus on the cover up in the government, and then we'll take it in steps. That's how they want to handle it, and maybe that's the right thing to do. I don't know, but you know what? The fact of the matter is that the evidence is already out there. We already have it now. And as far as I'm concerned, as far with that video, like I've talked about before, I've said this, when Scott Roeder was on the show a month or two ago, I stated that the only things that I'm ready and willing to accept, with 100% certainty, is the creature behind that chases them out of the yard, the creature who shows up momentarily using some sort of cloaking technology whose face appears behind the fence and you can see the shadow of it in the slots of the fence, as well as this one that I've been talking about that's in the background by the heavy equipment that pokes its head up there momentarily and then is cloaked. But for those couple of 2 or 3 seconds, there's something there, folks. There's no doubt about it, and it proves it. And we all know the rest of the story, the family, the 911 call, all of that stuff. It's all real. This is evidence. It proves it once and for all, regardless of what anybody out there tells you. But I received a message on a comment on YouTube from Kerry Nichols, and he writes, I could make out 5 different faces in that. He's talking about the video that I was the one I'm talking about where you could see that, this isn't the it's a solid 3-dimensional face that appears, a head that appears momentarily, and there's no doubt about it. It's an alien, right? That's what it is, an extraterrestrial, non-human intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It appears, right? There's no doubt. Right, it appears there, and I've suggested, like, I think there's other things around there, but I can't say for sure. Right? More analysis needs to be done with this on this video, and I think video experts need to be checking this out. I'm not a great video expert. I'm only using the program that I use to edit my videos with the Cyberlink program. But there's other things there, I believe. I can't prove the rest of them. I believe that we have proved, Scott Roeder and myself, we have, among some other people, have proved with 100% certainty, right, that there was something by the fence, the one that chased him out of the yard, because you can see something moving there, as well as this being that I've been talking about recently in the background by the heavy equipment, whose head you see, 3-dimensionally, solid, there's no doubt, right, and looks just like what people have described. Big black eyes, round bald head, no doubt about it. But anyway, Kerry Nichols writes, I could make out 5 different faces in that right-hand side. One creepy, pixelated one just to the upper left of the middle one. It turns its head towards the one that appears solid for a second. It takes the form of a skull in some frames. Yes, and I noticed that myself. I don't talk about the rest of them because I don't want to confuse people. I was talking about that one that was to the right of that one. It looks like there might be something there. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. But it looks like there was something to the right of that one, of the one whose face most certainly, the one that's most certainly there, right? There would like to be one to the right, but there might be something behind the other one. You could see, like, is it pareidolia? Is it just a video artifacts? I don't know, but it could be an alien because we know they're in the yard, so that makes this possible. It's possible that there was another alien right behind the one that we see clearly, and that's what he's talking about. I actually wrote back to him. I said, I'm glad I'm not the only one who sees that. The other anomalous activity occurring around the main creature is not as clear and convincing, and the naysayers could suggest it's all pareidolia because of that, but it is definitely worth talking about. Yes, it is definitely worth talking about, no doubt about it. And anyway, I want to go to the video here, and so you can see what I'm talking about here. Yes, and this is the video. That's in slow motion a little bit. You can see this is where the main one shows up. There it is, right? But if you look behind it in this area, look behind it here. We'll rewind it and do it again. If you look behind there, looks like there's something else going on. Maybe, like in this area right here, is there something going on there? And that's what he's talking about. Right, look, looks like there, like you can see, like, is that an eye there? An eye there? It's like an outline of something, and you can see maybe the shape of a head there, and then it looks like it turns into a skull if you keep watching that area. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a skull. I don't know. Could be something right there. So that's what he's talking about. Let me see. It looks like if you look in that back area, it looks like there's something going on, some movement going on back there. Look at right there. I'm going to play the whole thing through, so I won't interrupt this time. Oh yeah, there we go. We'll just play the whole thing through, and it looks like something's showing up there and behind the one right there. You see that? Yeah, it looks like there's something else behind this main one that shows up momentarily and then fades off into in a distortion, but behind it. Now, of course, I talked in the other show. I was talking about this one here too, to the right of it, but we're not talking about that one today. We're talking about right behind this one here that shows up. Looks like there's something going on in that area behind, like something there. I don't know. It's like the outline of something. It's very strange. Or I'll play the whole thing through here without stopping it. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like there's eyes that show up sometimes, and there's a face there. It looks like there's an outline of something, possibly. I don't know. What do you think? Possibly, I don't know. But yeah, see, this is the and here's somebody else was asking me about where this happens in the video. This is right after they get chased out of the yard and they're talking with each other for a little bit, and then when he reopens the gate, and before they zoom in now, in this little clip I'm going to show you, I zoom in so you can see. This is right after they open the gate, and they point it back to the heavy equipment, and then I zoomed it in. See, and this is where that one shows up. There you see it, and there you don't. Like for whatever reason, it shows up, and it's like, smile, you're on candid camera, and then it disappears. Here it is. I have it in slow motion. This is when they first reopen the gate, and then I zoom in there manually, and then you'll see it popping up back there. There's like a lot of action going on back there, and there's like I don't know, some of it is a lot of that cloud area. It could be because it's so far away. It could be the camera could be having trouble zooming in on it. It could be that there it is, turns its head, and then there he goes, right? Or who knows? We don't know. It could be that's just blurry. It could be that some of it's video artifacting. I do believe though that some of it is actually could actually be because they're using some sort of a cloaking technology. Because look at how distorted it looks. This is a slow motion version of that, and there you can look at the eyes showing up behind it as well. Yeah, I think there was multiple things back there, and I think there was actually some in the cab of the forklift. Yeah, there's multiple, and there's another creature that might have been standing off to the left-hand side. I'm not going to get into all of that today. At some point, I'm going to do a complete all the possible, the ones that are guaranteed to be there, as well as some of the possible ones to be there. But there is another thing I want to talk about today. There is something that somebody sent me, and I'm going to pull this up here. Give me a second. This was sent to me by Sean Catlin. And this is before any of this. This is right when this starts filming, basically. This is very strange, and I'm not sure what to think about it yet, but I'm just going to show it to you guys because I don't know. But before they go into the yard, before they get chased out and all that, and right when they start filming, it looks like there's something right that turns its head and looks right toward the camera. Like if you look, this is a slow motion video. You can see it right here. Maybe, I'm not sure. I mean, hold on. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. It could be. Let's look at it again. I'm going to let it go. Now, he draws lines around what he's seeing. I'm not sure if it could be an illusion. It could be part of the tree branches. I've looked at this a number of times since he sent it to me, but I'm not sure. But it does look like this could be a body right here, and this could be a head right here. Now, I'll let it play out. See, it turns its head. And he thinks that there might be one standing right beside it to the right there too. He draws lines around it, and he thinks there's one in the tree there. I looked at the one in the tree. I don't like that he had. I don't know. I don't think there's anything there, but I could be wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm right. But it looks like there could be one standing there. I mean, what's interesting about this is it's. Like in this area right here, later on when you look at that, it looks like this is blocking, you can't see the front of the tractor because of whatever this is. It looks like there might have been something standing there right behind the back edge of the pickup truck. Is that something standing there? I'm not sure if, he says he sees an eye here and an eye here. I'm not sure. I think the eyes might be lower, but it looks like there could be something there. It actually looks like it opens its mouth too. And remember, Angel said that it had these 6 foot, or excuse me, these 8 to 10 foot tall things had big mouths with teeth, he thought. So is that what we're seeing here? Is that thing, is that something turning its head there? It could be. Was it standing right in front of them? I wonder about this because, would they have gone in the backyard? I mean, if they knew that thing was standing right there behind the pickup truck, I mean, it looks like it could be moving. Now, I'm not sure. Is this an allude? This could be pareidolia. I think more analysis needs to be done. Maybe I could get Scott Roeder to take a look at it. I know he's been really busy lately with a lot of cases, but you see, it looks like there could be something there. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it looks like something could be there, and when they, it looks like it could be something turning its head. Now, I made my own little versions of this. This was his version, and look at this is another thing. It looks like there could be the shape of a body there too. Like that's what it looks like, a body standing there, and could be the head, and it looks like it could be turning its head. I don't know, folks. What do you think? But I'm gonna go. I'll let this one play out, and then we'll go to the one that I did myself. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure. I think that I think the whole backyard was filled with them, folks, and this could be one of them. I don't know. I think possibly could be. Now, I did a clearer version without all the drawings that Sean had in there. And I'm going to play it. And now this is a far away shot. You can see it start. If that's what it is. I don't know if it's the edge of a tree branch or is that something standing right back there? I don't know. And then I did a close-up of it. We'll play that one out and in slow motion, and I brightened it somewhat. The camera's moving, and then right there, you see, this is what he's talking about. And is this a body here? It might be. It might be. Or it might be some sort of an illusion just from the tree branches. But this right here, down here, looks like something could be standing there because it's blocking. Like later on, you could see that when they're filming the backyard later, it doesn't look like there's anything blocking the front of the this forklift or whatever it is in the back there. But right here, it does. And I'll show you something else interesting as this plays out. As the camera moves away, it looks like there could be the form of a body there, like right here. Look at, like right here. Is there something there, right behind the pickup truck, or is that just an illusion? I don't know. Right, look at right here. Is this something here? Maybe. See, it could be though. Here's the reason. Here's the deal. It could be. You know why? Because we know that there's other things there. We know that there's this thing there. We know that there's a thing that chased. There's no question about it. There's this thing. There's no doubt about this one. This is there. That's real. That's a real alien right there. And we know that there's a real alien that shows up behind the fence that has using some sort of cloaking technology. And we know that there was a real alien that chased them out of the yard. We know that. We know it. I think it's all interesting. I do think there's other creatures here. There's another one that a very tall one I think is standing way in the background, but I can't say with 100% certainty about that one or any of the other ones. I just can't say. But to me, it's all fascinating. I do think that the entire backyard was filled with them, though. I do. And we know that there were definitely some there because we could see them. We could see some of them, particularly this one here that shows up momentarily. This is more from a distance. I don't have it close up, but there's no doubt in my mind. There it is, starting to show up right there. It's in slow motion, and there it is. Right there you go, right there. What do you know? Right there, as big as life. In three, there's no question about it. This is a solid something with a face, and looks just like the classic kind of gray alien. Did anyone out there who has had encounters with these things? Does anyone ever remember seeing something like this for real in real life in 3D? Yeah, let me know. And also, I want to point out, we're gonna end the discussion like this today. I want to point out that I want to, if I've received comments from some people sometimes with regard to their encounters. A lot of people out there have encounters with aliens. If there's anyone out there that would be interested in coming on the show and talking about it or providing their story so I could tell other people about it, please contact me. My email, you could find it on in the information on YouTube about my channel, as well as on Spotify, JIMQK at Hotmail. Send me a message if you'd be interested in coming on the show, and if you don't want people to know your name, and you don't want, if that, I understand, but maybe we could just tell your story. I recently did that story about that weird light creature. I've kept those people anonymous. I mean, I actually talked with the person about that. I had a Zoom interview with this one of the wife of the husband and wife team that had this strange, what they think is something strange going on. I would not release your name. I wouldn't say your name. Or if you want to just come on the show and talk about it, or if you want to come on the show and you don't have to have your face on. You could just have your voice, and we could actually obscure your voice. We could do things so it doesn't sound like you. There's things like that we could do. But I would be interested in having more people who have had experiences with these things to start coming on the show, rather than just what I've been doing here. I enjoy what I'm doing. I love talking about this topic, as obviously. But I want to do something else. I think having regular people come on who've had encounters with these things, actually saw these creatures, encounter these creatures, maybe have gotten abducted by them in the past, to come on and tell their stories. They don't have to give their names. They could just provide their stories in an email, and I could share those stories. Any way you want to do it. That's something I would like to try in the future. And I also want to let my Spotify users know that I started a new series recently. The first episode was on Sunday. It's called Alien Encounters. They're just like short little episodes. The first one was only like 11 minutes. I plan to make these 6 to 12-minute long little videos just that focus on one encounter, and the one that I recently did, the first one I did on Sunday, it was about 11 minutes long, and it was about a case that from 1967 that happened in Missouri, where a farmer had went into his field and saw these penguin-like creatures and a giant mushroom-shaped craft landed there. So it was. I'm going to do some more of those too as time goes on, and actually after I accumulate so many, I'll probably because I don't want to put just a 10-minute show on Spotify, because I know a lot of people like to listen to podcasts that last a little longer than 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do, like every time I get a few of them in the bag, I'll probably make compilation versions where I'll have like 2 or 3 episodes squeezed into one, and I will upload them to Spotify in the future. But for the time being, there is the first episode is available on YouTube if you're interested in checking it out. I'll leave a link in the description for that too. Anyway, I want to say thank you all for joining me. Until next time.